What was your favorite episode?
Well, my favorite episode to watch is The Inner Light. A close second would be Tapestry.
Wait. Inner Light. That was the one where Patrick played the flute, right?
That's right.
Nice.
I hated that episode.
Did you really? That's because you're not a nerd. I love that because I'm a nerd.
What do you mean I'm not a nerd?
You're not a nerd like I'm a nerd, Jonathan Frakes.
Truer words were never spoken.
I love that episode. I love the idea that you could live an entire lifetime in the blink of an eye and all the people around you wouldn't be aware of it.
Exactly 48 minutes of screen time.
I know.
Let me
an
ask
entire
you
lifetime in 48 minutes.
Well, now that I've got you here, I don't know if this is a good time, but did you understand yesterday's Enterprise?
Well, yes.
Yeah.
You are a nerd.
You are. Because you live in the ecosphere.
I do.
On the vein of being a nerd, one of the things...
Are you a nerd?
Yo, I have lightsabers on my wall, pal.
His name is Maurice.
Yeah. You can't go through life being named Maurice and not be black, French, or gay. So.
No stranger to an ass-whooping Maurice.
My question is this. I've been a huge sci-fi fan my entire life. But a lot of people that work in sci-fi movies and sci-fi television programs may not necessarily be science fiction fans. Now, in working with this, did you find yourself becoming more interested or more aware of the space program, nerdy, sciencey stuff like that, or were you as ambivalent as you were before?
Are you talking to me?
All of them.
I was a huge Star Trek fan before I even began production on Next Generation. And I was beside myself. And getting to walk through stage 9, in the first season our bridge was on stage 6 and all of the other sets were on stage 9, with the exception of Planet Hell that none of us ever liked. I mean, if I could just speak for all of us in that regard.
Please.
Getting to walk through those corridors for the first time and see them lit up and walk into engineering and see the engine going.
Oh, you mean with the dilithium crystals in it?
That's right, exactly. Well, the dilithium crystals are responsible for regulating the intermixing of matter and antimatter. But that's really LeVar's place, not mine.
It was LeVar's place. Is there a reason that this ship could never go beyond 9.9?
Warp 9.9?
Yeah.
I think when you go beyond warp 9.9, you would explode.
The show actually becomes according to Jim.
Let me defer to the expert at the table, Will.
The show becomes according to Jim. And nobody wants that.
Well said.
Yeah, that's science, guys.
That's the way it works. You know science.
A little bit.
Yeah.
So I was a huge fan, and I loved it. And I loved getting to work with all these guys. And because I was a kid, I was sort of able to I was closer to, I think, playing Star Trek on the playground, maybe, than you guys were. At least, before the restraining orders. But it was actually very important to me.
It's not often that I'm the third funniest guy on the panel.
I hired some writers. We've been working stuff out. We were on retreat.
Yes, David.
So, because you obviously were always a fan, were you always into sci-fi, Mr. Franks?
I'd be lying if I told you I even understood what Star Trek was before I was blessed with the job. I learned fast, however. I went out and trained myself, and I'm a huge fan, obviously, now, and very grateful, but I come from a different world.
Pennsylvania.
How about you, Mr. Bird? Were you always a sci-fi fan?
I am with Bill Wheaton on this issue. I was a huge fan of the original series. Gene Roddenberry's vision of the future was one where people of color were actually present, and that meant a lot to me as a kid.
And on a bridge. So, taking that all into account, how do you feel now that we're, our nation's in this having financial problems and we're cutting back on our manned space program? Do you think that's like cool, or do you think that's a tough decision we had to make, or would you like to see more manned missions in real life?
That's a huge question.
But one you haven't had, right? I'll take any credit I can get.
I think we're going to go back to the moon.
Yeah. Well,
Is it a money thing?
I think we spent a little bit too much of our resources on fighting.
Yes.
Not enough left in the coffers for education and exploration.
Now, you have a huge background with Reading Rainbow and being involved in education. Education is clearly something you have a high passion
for. Butterfly in the sky. I can go twice as high. Take a look, it's in a book. A reading rainbow.
I've been around that before. That's good stuff.
So how do you feel having that background and that passion for education, and then being blessed enough to work in a science fiction serial that also, encourages people to be educated? I mean, it's all about science. It's all about exploration. So, what do you think we're missing in the realm of sci-fi, where we don't seem to encourage that? It's more about monsters than it is about passion for exploration.
I think there's room in the science fiction universe for all of these things. I think there's plenty of inspirational science fiction in the lexicon these days. Even when it has a dark vision, it can still be inspirational. This is a journey that we're all on, and we're all on it together. And science fiction tends to be that body of literature that sort of leads us on the way through this journey that we're all sharing. So I think there's room for all of it, but there's only one Star Trek.
Mr. Frakes, you've done a lot of directing. You've directed some of my favorite episodes, and
He's one of the best directors in the world.
What lessons from Star Trek have you applied to directing that you didn't learn anywhere else?
What lessons from Star Trek?
In working on Star Trek, maybe things other directors did, or experiences you had, or difficulties you had that when you became a director you were able to
Like
apply.
dealing with an entire cast that's drunk, for example. I mean, just to pull something out of thin air that I made up.
There's a lot to be said for having your friends look back at you when you're making the leap, wouldn't you say?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
LeVar and I started out sort of checking each other out. Is that okay? Yeah, that's fine. We can go on now.
You were the first, man.
But you look at I used to look at LeVar, and I used to look at Patrick and make sure that we had agreed that what we've gotten was what we wanted. And now I trust my own instincts more, but in the beginning, we were all mishpucha. We were in this together.
You've probably taken the rules of acting along with you on your journey as a director, have you not?
The rules of acting?
First rule of acting?
Live in the moment.
Live in the moment. Second rule of acting? Remember your lines. Third rule of acting? Don't bump into the furniture. They still work. Yeah.
Make sure your shoes fit.
How about for you? What lessons from Star Trek for you guys have you taken and applied in other, maybe unexpected avenues of, like other experiences that you've had?
Star Trek was such an ensemble show, and I was a kid when I worked on Star Trek, and because I was a kid, I had the limitations that kids have.
No car.
Until I got my better than Patrick Stewart's Honda Prelude SI 4WS, you mean?